video, I'm going to go over my super early, full card, picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 47, Hermansson versus Strickland. So before I jump into my picks, I'm going to quickly go over all of the fun that happened at UFC 270. So overall, it was a pretty good night. My picks went 9-2, and I ended up winning 6 units on my bets, so can't complain one bit about that. But I really think the fight card outperformed itself. It had a lot of good fights in it, and I know on paper it didn't look like it was gonna live up to expectations for a pay-per-view card, but it did. That's good for the UFC, it's good for the fans, and yeah, it was overall great. One fight that I really enjoyed was the Demopoulos-Suarez fight. So it's crazy to me that Demopoulos got rocked that bad, fell on the mat like a sack of potatoes, and ended up getting a submission on Juarez with an armbar. And I know it's super early in the year and it's only been 2 cards, but remember this fight for comeback of the year. And of course, who could not love her post-fight interview with Joe Rogan where he carried her off like she just said yes or something. It was priceless. Another fight that I thought was amazing was the Barcelos-Henry fight. So for me, that was definitely the fight of the night, and it's criminal that they did not get the fight of the night bonuses. Both fighters pushed a crazy pace for all 3 rounds. I think every round they each had over 50 strikes landed, and it was just an all-out brawl. No grappling, just striking. That's the kind of fight I like. Should have got the bonuses, didn't get the bonuses. What are you gonna do? And the finish of the night for me was Said Nurmagomedov. So I'll be real, I did not expect Nurmagomedov to get a submission win. I thought he probably would go the distance with Stamen because he's a pretty tough dude. And he made one mistake and he left his neck out there, and he paid the price for it. But it was a good win for Nurmagomedov. And last but not least, the co-main event and the main event fights were very entertaining as well. I do think the judges did get the scoring right. I personally had it 48-47 Figgy and 48-47 Njokuani. I thought Figueiredo landed the more significant punches, the more powerful punches. He ended up knocking Moreno down 3 or 4 times throughout the fight, and to me, that got the win for him this time. And with Njokuani, I'll be honest, totally didn't see him trying to wrestle with Gane. I thought he was going to try to outstrike him, and he ended up winning rounds 3, 4, and 5 for me. But I will say Gane did have a little bit of a chance to win this fight still in the 5th round. I know he was on the ground trying to get the submission, but if he could have used that to get himself up instead of going for the submission, I do think he could have outstruck Njokuani in the 5th round to seal the 5th round, and he probably could have won that 48-47. But either way, Njokuani ended up sweeping him, and he did good, so that's why he's still the champion. So like I said, all around great fights for the night. So on that note, let's get to my picks for UFC Vegas 47. First fight we have is Malcolm Gordon versus Dennis Bondar. Gordon is 13-5, 31 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. And Bondar is 16-3, 29 years old, 5'6", and his reach isn't listed. So first fight of the night, and I'm going to pick Bondar to win this one. So Bondar is making his UFC debut, and I just think he's the more well-rounded fighter in this matchup. And he's actually really good at finishing his opponents. Out of his 16 wins, he has 13 finishes. Most of them have come by submission, but he definitely can knock you out. And with Gordon, I'm just not that impressed with him. In all 5 of his losses, he's been finished. So I'm thinking Bondar's going to use his grappling in this matchup, and he's going to end up getting the submission maybe in the 1st or 2nd round. Next fight we have is Danilo Marques versus Jailton Almeida. Marques is 13-3, 36 years old, 6'6", with a 77.5-inch reach. And Almeida is 14-2, 30 years old, 6'3", with a 79-inch reach. So in this fight, I'm going to pick Almeida to win this one. So again, Almeida is making his UFC debut, and I also think he's going to be the better striker in this matchup. Marques is known for his grappling, and he's really good at getting submissions, but his striking is very lackluster. But Almeida is very good on the ground too, so it's not like he's a fish out of water if it does get down to the mat. But I see this fight playing out on its feet, and I just can't trust Marquez's striking and even his cardio because it's dicey at best. So yeah, I think Almeida's going to win this one, and it's going to be by knockout in the 1st or 2nd round. Next fight we have is Alexis Davis versus Julia Stoliarenko. Davis is 20-11, 37 years old, 5'6", with a 68-inch reach. And Stoliarenko is 9'5" 28 years old, 5'7" with a 69-inch reach. Okay, so first things first, warning, this is a low-level women's MMA fight, so anything can happen. But I'm gonna say that Davis gets the job done. So to put it nicely, both fighters' striking isn't the greatest, but I will say Davis definitely has the experience, and I do think that's what's gonna make her win this fight. I do think Davis is gonna be able to take down Stoliarenko and stay in top control for most of the fight, but she will have to be a little bit careful because Stoliarenko is pretty good at getting submissions, but that's pretty much gonna be how the fight is gonna play out. But with my pick, I'm gonna say that Davis wins this one by decision. Moving on up the card, we have Jason Witt versus Philip Rowe. Witt is 19-7, 35 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. And Rowe is 8-3, 31 years old, 6'3" with an 80.5-inch reach. So I think this is going to be a good fight, but I think Rowe's going to end up winning this one. So right off the bat, Rowe's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage and a 10-inch reach advantage. And we all know in the UFC, size does matter. And if you have that much of an advantage against your opponent needs to be super technical and can't make any mistakes to even have a chance to win. But other than that, I do think Rowe has the better striking. Witt is a good wrestler and he can take down Rowe. But the way I see this fight playing out is Rowe's going to stay at range with that 10-inch reach advantage, and Witt's not even going to have a chance to be able to take him down. And another little red flag for Witt, Witt's chin is a little chinny, so I do think Rowe's going to end up getting the knockout in the second or third round. Next fight we have is Marc-Andre Barriault versus Chidi Njokuani. Barriault is 13-4, 31 years old, 6'1" with a 73-inch reach. And Njokuani is 20-7, 33 years old, 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. So with this fight, I was going back and forth with this one, but I decided to go with Barriault to win this one. Barriault is a tough, solid fighter. He has really good wrestling. His striking is pretty decent as well, but Njokuani definitely is going to have the striking advantage. But the way I see this playing out is I think Barriault's going to eventually be able to take down Njokuani, and once he gets taken down, I don't think he's going to be able to get back up. So I can definitely see like a ground and pound knockout or a submission once that happens. So I'm going to say that Barriault wins, and it's going to be by knockout in the second round. Next fight we have is Hakeem Dawodu versus Mike Trizano. Dawodu is 12-2-1, 30 years old, 5'8" with a 72-inch reach. And Trizano is 9-1, 30 years old, 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. So with my pick, I'm going to say that Dawodu wins this one, but I do think it's going to be a really close fight. Dawodu is going to be the better striker, and Trizano just came off a really good win against Ludovic Klein. Trizano likes to push the pace on his opponents and stay right in their face, so it'll be interesting to see how Dawodu deals with that, but I do think he's going to be able to outstrike Trizano. He has more volume. His striking is a little bit more technical. So if his cardio can hold up for all 3 rounds, I do think Dawodu is going to win this one by decision. Moving on up the card, we have Miles Johns versus John Castaneda. Johns is 12-1, 27 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. And Castaneda is 18-5, 30 years old, 5'6" with a 69-inch reach. Alright, so this is my first no-brainer pick of the night, and I'm going to take Johns to win this one. So right now, Johns is on a roll, and I really like his boxing technique. He has really good counters, and his power in his hands, he can knock out anybody. And with Castaneda, I don't think his striking is up to Johns' level, and if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to use his wrestling. But the problem is Johns is a really good wrestler as well. So I really just don't see a path to victory for Castaneda. So I'm going to pick Johns to win this one, and I'm going to say by KO in the first round. Next fight we have is Julian Erosa versus Steven Peterson. Erosa is 26-9, 32 years old, 6'1" with a 74.5-inch reach. And Peterson is 19-9, 31 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. So with my pick, I'm going to pick Erosa to win this one. So I do think Erosa is the more well-rounded fighter, and he definitely is going to have the advantage in the submission and ground game. And with Peterson, his striking is pretty decent. He can wrestle, but I just think Erosa is just like one step ahead of Peterson here. I will say though, Erosa has been knocked out a few times in his career, so I am a little worried about that. But like I said, I do think Erosa is the better striker. I think he's the better grappler, and I think Erosa is going to end up getting the decision win here. Next fight we have is Bryan Battle versus Trizano Gore. Battle is 6-1, 27 years old, 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. And Gore is 3-0, 27 years old, 6 foot, and his reach isn't listed. Alright, so finally we get the Ultimate Fighter Championship fight that we all wanted. I think this fight was canceled maybe once or even twice because Gore's got injured or some other reason. But I'm going to pick the underdog here, and I'm going to say that Battle's going to win this one. So both fighters are really good strikers. If I had to give an edge to one of them, I would say that Gore is the better striker. But Battle does bring more to the table with his grappling and submission game. Also, Battle has been more active, and honestly, who knows if Gore's injury is going to play a part in this or not. But I've been impressed with Battle. I watched the Ultimate Fighter season, and both guys were really good. But I'm going to say that Battle's going to win this one, and I think it's going to go to decision. Moving on up the card, we have Sam Alvey versus Phil Hawes. Alvey is 33, 16-1, 35 years old, 6'2" with a 75.5-inch reach. And Hawes is 11-3, 33 years old, 6 foot with a 77.5-inch reach. Oh, okay. So we have Phil Hawes. Honestly, I still cannot get that image out of my head when Chris Curtis knocked him out. But I have to pick Phil Hawes to win this one. Because, let's be honest, who's going to pick Sam Alvey to win when he literally hasn't won a fight since June of 2018? And in that time frame, he's gone 0-6 with 1 draw. And here's the funny part. I wouldn't even be surprised if Alvey does knock out Hawes. But if Hawes wants to win, he needs to implement his wrestling more. I know in his last fight, he was trying to outstrike Chris Curtis, and he ended up getting knocked out. So if he can implement his wrestling game into this fight, I do think Alvey's going to be a little bit of fish out of water, and Hawes will be able to easily cruise to a decision win. But who knows what's going to happen. So with my reluctant pick, I'm going to say that Hawes wins by decision. Maybe. Next fight we have is Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlston Harris. Rakhmonov is 14-0, 27 years old, 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. And Harris is 17-4, 34 years old, 6 foot with a 76-inch reach. Really looking forward to this fight. And honestly, this fight definitely is going to be the fight of the night for me. But with my pick, I'm going to say Rakhmonov wins this one. So if you watched my top 10 up-and-coming prospects video, you'll know that I'm really high on Rakhmonov. But both these guys are really dangerous. They're both really good grapplers, and they both have really good submissions. But I do think the department where one of them has an edge is the striking, and I do think Rakhmonov is a little bit more technical and a little bit more accurate than Harris. Harris likes to throw a little bit more of looping punches instead of straight punches, and I think Rakhmonov's going to be able to counter those. So in all of Rakhmonov's wins, he's finished every fighter that he's fought. But in this fight, I don't think he's going to be able to finish Harris, but I do think he's going to end up getting the decision win. Moving on up the card, we have Punahele Soriano versus Nick Maximov. Soriano is 8-1, 29 years old, 5'11" with a 72.5-inch reach. And Maximov is 7-0, 24 years old, 6 foot with a 76-inch reach. Alright, so right off the bat, I have no idea why this is the co-main event, but nevertheless, I'm going to say that Soriano wins this fight. To put it simply, Maximov is a wrestler, and all he wants to do is wrestle you. He's going to try to take you down, and he's going to try to ground and pound or submit you once he gets you down there. But the problem is, Soriano's takedown defense is 100%, and Maximov is really going to have to work hard to try to get those takedowns. But the way I see this fight going is I do think Soriano's going to end up getting the knockout. It's not going to last longer than the first round. I think Maximov's going to try to get the takedown and he's going to end up getting caught. So with my pick, I'm going to say Soriano wins by knockout in the first round. Alright, main event time. We have Jack Hermansson versus Sean Strickland. Hermansson is 22-6, 33 years old, 6'1", with a 77.5-inch reach. And Strickland is 24-3, 30 years old, 6'1", with a 76-inch reach. So this is a really good main event, and I'm going to say that Strickland wins. So Strickland's going to be the better striker in this matchup by far, but Hermansson's going to be the better grappler in this matchup by far. Though I will say Strickland's takedown defense is pretty good, so I do think Hermansson's going to have a tough time trying to take down Strickland. But if this fight does get to the mat, I would be a little bit scared for Strickland because we haven't seen him on his back very often, and he's never been tested on the mat, especially with a guy like Hermansson. But how I see this fight playing out is Strickland's going to be his crazy self. He's just going to go out there and hoping for a brawl, and he's just going to use Hermansson's face as a punching bag and probably talk shit the whole time he's doing it. I mean, let's be honest, the dude's legit crazy. And you can say what you want about him. I know he posts stuff on Twitter and Instagram that a lot of people don't like, but he's a really good UFC fighter. Though I will say, if you're looking for a guy that just wants to speak his mind and put anything on Facebook just to get a laugh, go follow him. He's pretty funny, actually. But with my pick, I'm going to say that Strickland and Hermansson go all 5 rounds, but Strickland's going to win by decision. Alright guys, so those are my picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 47. Thank you everybody for watching, and on your way out, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for me. I hope everybody enjoys the fights, and until then, happy fighting now.